Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our daily gratitude call. I want to welcome everybody that's here on the call live, and also those who are joining after the fact on the podcast. I encourage you to all really fully participate. Grab some paper and pen. We're going to be doing a silent private meditation in just a moment. And I'm setting my timer up right now, so we'll be ready for that. And I just wanted to share a few of the things that were shared in. We do 3 rounds of gratitude before we start the recording, just to kind of get everybody warmed up. And there were several, I would say probably more than half, that just really felt like, to me, just the basics of living. And it was more than just like the basic survival needs. It's like the basics of living, and there's that feels a little bit different. And so that's what we're going to focus on, is gratitude for the basics of living. And I'm just writing that down and got my timer ready. We're going to be doing a private silent meditation on gratitude for the basics of living. 90 seconds begins now. All right. The first things that came to me is just like air, water, food, family. So air, water, and food, feel like the basics of survival. But that shift in thinking, the basics of living, it just brought on a new connotation, just even for those basics: air, water, and food. It's like clean air, clean water, healthy food. It's more than just like a bowl of rice and some dirty water out of a muddy river or something. And family and peace. And I just underlined peace several times. And I know, these are some of the things that I've been able to experience throughout my whole life here in America. And right now, because of the unrest, in different areas of America, it doesn't feel like these things are just things we can expect all the time, everywhere, from forever and ever. In America, it seems like the basics of living are just a symbol of America, almost, of what it means to live in America. And it's what has helped people want to immigrate here for a long time, for years. And anyway, I'm just really feeling gratitude for the basics of living right now, because it's not something that we can really take for granted anymore. I do feel that the strength of the American people and the strength of the American spirit can overcome and maintain. And so I feel very positive and hopeful about the future. But I'm also just a little bit more aware of those wonderful basics of living we enjoy. Who else has something they'd like to share?
I have something I'd like to share.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, first off, I want to give an apology for the group text yesterday. I just reacted. I was busy doing something and my phone just kept exploding, and then I just reacted without even looking at who it was. So I would just want to offer an apology for that. And I think that you should continue to, put your comments inside of there. So, so I just want to apologize for that. So the basics of living, what came to me was now, not the future, not the past, but now, and how I have the basics of living. We all do. And it's only when we project out into the future that we start getting nervous about if we do or if we don't. And that hasn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an illusion. So that's what came to my mind. So.
Beautiful. Thank you, Phil. I always am really appreciative of your comments. You have kind of this higher level of thinking because you've been in this mentoring space for a long time. And I just always really appreciate the things that you say. And you're absolutely right. I mean, even that, what I shared about, maybe feeling like we can't really take those things for granted is just projecting myself in the future. Right now, I have all those things and I'm really super grateful for them. And I think one of the basics of living beyond the basics of survival, the basics of living is freedom of speech. And so, that's what we create on our group text. We have a group text for those of you who are listening on the podcast. Those who are consistently on our live call, we have kind of like a family here, and we do a group text where some people are, they have something in their heart that they want to share that is maybe a little bit too personal to share on the Breakthrough with Gratitude page. And so we have this great, wonderful group text that we can send out. So it gives place for people to share in a different way. And, I always am just every once in a while, I'm like, if you don't want to be on the text, if you don't want your phone to blow up, just reach out to me privately, because you have that freedom to either be on or not be on the text. And I really appreciate your apology, Phil. I accept that. And you are definitely welcome to come back anytime, whenever you feel like, or if you ever feel like that's something that would serve you. But I appreciate always appreciate your comments and your humility, your willingness to learn. And thank you so much. Who else? Robert, you have something.
Yes, I think I wasn't going to say anything, but the Phil's apology, I mean, I didn't understand what was going on. And then when I read stop, and I stopped counting how many exclamation points, I think what Phil just did is one of the best basics of life, and that's to offer an apology. And what it reminded me of was back in high school, there was a class where the teacher and the students just interacted and had fun, and it wasn't out of control. It was just a lively class. And I believe it might have been an English class or something like that. And maybe it was the time of the month, and I don't mean to apologize, assume, but there was something that teacher just unloaded on the class. And the class took it extremely personal. And the ones that were so lively and jovial and shared with the class for the next week stopped. Completely dead silence. And it got so bad to the teacher, she finally stopped and apologized for her reaction to the class. And that's what this just brought up with Phil. Again, I don't know what all went on, because all I see is phone numbers and they mean nothing to me. But Phil expressed the basics that we all can, including myself, practice. And I'm sorry.
Thank you. That is one of the basics of living, isn't it? It's definitely not required in the basics of survival. When we're in survival mode, there's, a lot of high emotion and stress and, all kinds of things going on. And people can be like, well, we can kind of give him the benefit of the doubt because he's, going through whatever. But the basics of living does include apology, and it also includes forgiveness. It includes love. It includes welcome. It includes allowing people to mess up and come back. And, I feel like shame is one of the biggest reasons, the biggest things that if people take on, that kind of energy, it really does take away from the basics of living. We can't be free to express or to, whatever, if there's shame present. And that example that you shared in the with the class, that definitely is an example, a good example of that. To always, express welcome and love, and always be willing to apologize if we've been out of line. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Who else?
So I'd like to comment too.
Hey, Josh?
One of the basic needs for life is health.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily physical health, but mental health as well, spiritual health. I know that a lot of the times I'm an emotionally driven person in some aspects, and being on this call has helped me. My wife has really helped me kind of grasp the reality of not being so emotionally driven to make decisions. And I think it was Phil that apologized. I think that's one of the biggest things is sometimes we get so involved and so stressed out, and the basic things, we absolutely have to go back to the basic things of life: food, water, air, breathing, and step by step. And as we do that, and we reflect back on what is going on in our lives to make that happen, so that we can make the conscious decision to move forward and do whatever it takes to move forward. I think that's a huge thing. I know that as we consciously make decisions every day to follow God, to go back to the basics of life, it's simple. Life is simple. And I think that's what I have to say.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Josh. Absolutely. I do that on a really regular basis. If I'm feeling myself getting a little bit more emotionally involved with something, all I have to do is just breathe. Just take a deep breath, get back to center. The earth is fine. I'm sitting in my chair. Just get back to the basics of living, and get centered again, and just kind of let everything else around us go. I love that. And I've seen a difference, within, between you and your wife. I know things have changed because you've been willing and been able to do that, and also her too. It's been a beautiful thing to observe. Thank you. I think Melinda, you had something.
Yes, I feel myself getting a little emotional with this call as well, because it just means so much to me as you guys have talked and helped me through. I've had a migraine for 3 days, and something I noticed this morning is that a lot of it was like clenching my teeth and worrying about what classes I would sign up in September and like all future, right? Like not worrying about now and understanding that I have all the basics that I need right now, and just trying to like calm that anxiety down, that I can enjoy this moment of rest, that I can enjoy the basics of now, and that I can enjoy and not take for granted my beautiful home and beautiful children and spouse, and just enjoy that they're here to help me rest, as you know, as I'm usually caring and supporting for them, that it's okay to take a second and let them do the same for me. And I just thought about another thing that just like touched my heart, was the thought of family, and how if some family get offended, then they leave, and just the overwhelming thought that, you know, anyone, especially Phil, could have like left the call because of a minuscule thing, right? And it's just like overwhelming, like how you said how much you appreciate his words and this higher level that he brings. And I was just feeling the same way, like, man, just so grateful to have him on the call today, because of everything that each of us bring, and how we are like a family, like you were talking about on this call, and how each voice, as I've mentioned before, is like touches my soul, even though I've not met many of you, and how that can bring us to our own family, that, you know, one day as we follow these basics needs that and apologize regularly, that families everywhere can come together and enjoy that basics that really bring joy and peace into our souls. And just wanted to thank everyone for their shares and for helping me understand things deeper. So thank you.
Thank you. You know, I was thinking about, I loved your words, Melinda, and I, you know, was thinking about like a moment of stress can really upset the basics of living, especially, you know, if there's this moment of, you know, when a family member becomes offended and leaves. I mean, it just really upsets the whole family. And when I say upset, it's like turns everybody upside down. It's like, what, you know, that person's not going to be around anymore, or they're not going to talk to me anymore, or whatever. It's like, this is, you know, a whole new thing that we have to get used to. And I immediately thought of like dogs and kids and how forgiving they are. And they have emotional stress all the time, you know, upsets all the time. If they're, you know, trying to, you put something, like my daughter, I remember I would if I put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in front of her and it wasn't cut the exact right way, she would have an emotional outburst. It's like, oh my gosh, let me cut it for you. But then there's immediate forgiveness. There's immediate love. There's immediate, you know, welcome back. And if we could all get back to those basics of living as children, I mean, it even says in the scriptures, you have to become as a little child to be able to enter God's presence. If we could be like a little child and be okay with an emotional moment, and then be able to just know and trust that we're totally welcome back at any time. And, you know, it's completely forgotten. And that's one of the basics of living. So maybe time for one more share. All right. Well,
can I add to that? Sure. For just real quick? Something that came to my mind is this morning, you know, it's as I wasn't feeling well, the dishes got caught up and, you know, a lot stacked up. And as I'm talking with my daughter this morning, we're helping each other, and a poem came to mind. And that's why I said, I'm grateful for dishes this morning as we did our gratitude round of gratitudes. A poem came to mind that my mom used to say is, thank God for dirty dishes. They have a tale to tell. As others may be going hungry, we are eating well. And so we can think about that on our basics. But.
Wow, awesome. Thank you. Love that. All right, let's go ahead and just take a deep breath. And just allow yourself to really go back to those basics. Noticing the air that you're breathing in. Noticing that you have a body that is functioning perfectly, and allowing this air to come into your body, and your organs are working, your blood is flowing, everything is awesome. Right now in this moment, everything is awesome. One more deep breath. And also feeling that connection with our Heavenly Father. And that is one of the basics of living. We never have to be in survival, because we always have access to infinite resource of knowledge, of ideas, of possibilities, of options, inspiration. Just allow yourself to notice all of the basics of living that we enjoy at any given time. At any given moment, we can tap into those wonderful resources. And as you're becoming more aware of these basics of living that we experience on a moment-to-moment basis, what is the limiting belief that has been plaguing you that would pull you out of this beautiful, comfortable, peaceful place of experiencing all the basics of living? What's the limiting belief that would not allow you to remain in this wonderful space of just knowing that everything is here, that you have everything that you need? And what's the cost of that limiting belief? If you hold on to that limiting belief, first of all, what's it been causing you before? For Melinda, it's been causing her 3 days of migraines. Is there a cost that you can associate with that limiting belief, and look at all the different areas of your life: health, wealth, relationships, your own personal power, your ability to move forward? What is the ultimate cost of these limiting beliefs? And if you don't like that cost, you have a choice. You can keep that limiting belief, or you can choose to give yourself permission to choose a different belief that would create a different outcome for you. And if you're ready to give yourself permission to choose a new belief, say yes.
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 Awesome. So what are those new beliefs? Let's get like 2 or 3 new beliefs to replace that limiting belief. Just write those new beliefs down. New beliefs that would allow you to feel the comfort and the peace that goes with having the basics of living provided. And really, when you think about it, all of the basics of living have been provided for us. They're here. They're here and available to us right here on this earth. God set this earth up so that all the basics of living are provided. So what are the new beliefs that will allow you to remember and embrace and move forward knowing that all the basics of living are provided? And having these new beliefs written in front of you, I invite you to really bring these new beliefs into your subconscious, your conscious and your subconscious, your awareness on all levels. Just maybe even envision that you're putting these new beliefs into your brain, you're putting them into the survival area of your brain, you're putting them into your heart, into your soul, into your gut, into every area of your body. You're consciously placing these new beliefs in a place, in a way that no matter what's going on around you, that you are willing and able to go back to, I have the basics of living. I have them right now. Every moment, I have the basics of living. That regardless of what's happening, if there's a crisis or whatever, I have the basics of living, and whatever those new beliefs are. And then with this new consciousness that you have the basics of living already, allow yourself to move forward on something that you have held back on in the past, something that you have told yourself there isn't enough, you're not enough, whatever, that you don't have the basics provided for. Allow yourself to use these new beliefs to empower you to move forward on whatever it was. Just listen for intuition to tell you what it is that you have been hesitating moving forward, believing that you didn't have the basics of living, but now you know that you do. And what is the first step? What is the most important thing that you could do today to move forward on this decision? What's your inspired shortcut to having this thing that you've been holding back in the past become a reality right now? What's your inspired shortcut? In a moment, I'm going to open it up for some shares. And I also want to just offer to meet with any of you if you have are having some struggles in moving forward with this at all, or whatever it is that you're struggling with. I would love to have a 15-minute conversation with you. And all you have to do is just go to askwylene.com, and that will take you directly to my calendar, and you can schedule that 15-minute call. askwylene.com, and that's a free call. Who has something they would like to share about their experience today?
I'd love to share here because I've got a lot.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil.
Okay, so first off, my limiting belief here is that I must persevere. I must hold on to my beliefs. And if I challenge my belief, then I lose my foundation. That's my limiting belief. My new belief is that I can always give my past to the Lord.
Mm.
I am worthy of love.
Mm.
I am complete and perfect how I am. And every day is new, and I get to choose how I live it. My shortcut is to live in the moment, because in the moment I have no problems. I cannot make a wrong conscious choice.
Beautiful. Thank you, Phil. And I love your new beliefs and that new, this just feels like so powerful that being in the present, you can totally let go of your past. You can give it to the Lord. And I love that idea of being able to place it somewhere. I think a lot of times we worry about letting go of the past, and it's almost like, well, that past is still kind of out there, like maybe it's going to run up and catch me again or something, or I'm going to trip over it later or whatever. But we're actually consciously giving it to the Lord. I love that it has a place. There's a place for it to be, and that right now in the present, everything is, you have everything. Thank you. Anybody else?
Wileen, I'll share something.
Okay, thanks.
So my limiting belief was we don't have enough. And I was thinking about how many areas in my life that applies to when you have that attitude or when you have that limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
It applies to everything, and enough love, enough attention, enough time. And so I really recognized how thinking that I didn't have enough time was creating that in my life. And so I waste a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
I probably, could be using to a lot better effect because I don't think I have enough. And so I make sure I don't have enough by wasting it. And so my new beliefs are just reminding myself that I have more than enough for everything that I need to do in this life. Heavenly Father has set me up perfectly to be able to fulfill my purpose and to do all that I was sent here to do. And I really appreciate this call. So thank you.
Thank you. Super powerful. It's so interesting when you said, I don't have enough. It was like such a, what? because we really have. I mean, God has given us all that we need to live. And so when you said that, I had a totally different feeling than I've ever had about that. I don't have enough. It almost felt greedy. It's like, oh, I want more. You've given me everything that I need, all the basics of living, but I want more. It felt really greedy. I've never experienced that before. So thank you for sharing that, because that gave me a totally different visual of what that means. And I don't think I'm ever going to say that again. Thank you. Robert.
Hi. So I missed the name of the person who just said what she said.
Sybil.
Thank you, Sybil. It reminded me, and I wasn't going to add, but Sybil's comment helped me. And what it reminds me of is probably since I was 19 years old, I learned to say when somebody said, "Hey, what's up?" And my response has been, since then, 40 years later, lots of good things are up. And I even got to the point where people stopped asking me because they would say lots of good, what's up? And I go, never mind, I already know lots of good things are up, because that's all you ever say. And what I realized by saying that, exactly that would happen. Lots of good things would happen. Mm-hmm. And I would listen to people who would say, "Hey, what's up?" And they would say nothing. And I think to myself, I wonder how many of them complain that nothing happens in their life, and they're willing nothing to happen. And so they're very seldom, I will never say, I have not in the last 40 years said nothing. I may have skipped through emotional distress, lots of good things, but I have learned with emotional distress through the divorce process still to push out the words. It's painful sometimes as it is. Lots of good things are happening.
Well, beautiful. And when we say that, that's the power of these new beliefs that we create, is when you say things out loud, especially, then all of a sudden we have to make our world true. We have to make our words true. So the environment, the universe, everything kind of starts lining up with whatever we speak. And so, it's super powerful to watch our words.
If I may add to what you're saying, when the question is asked, what are your limiting beliefs? My mind goes blank. I'm sure they're there. I know there's something, because I search really hard thinking, what is my limiting belief? I struggle to find one. And I think it's been from so many years of saying lots of good things,
nice.
Which opens up beliefs.
That's awesome.
And limiting beliefs.
Yeah, I think, before we start the recording, we go around and I ask, what are you grateful for? I don't say, are you grateful for anything? I say, what are you grateful for? And even just that question says there's got to be something that you're grateful for.
Absolutely.
So I love that.
Thank you.
Well, we are at the end of our time. I really appreciate everybody that has shared today. This has been a super, I think, healing and powerful call. Lots of really great connection has been created here. I'm just, really grateful for all of you who have been on this call, who've contributed, even if it's just energetic connection. Just having your presence here has been awesome. And just thank you all for your contributions. We will be back together tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time. Look forward to that, and go out and accomplish your inspired shortcut. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you.
Love you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.